Hey, have you ever been close to tragedy? Or been close to folks who have? Have you ever felt a pain so powerful, so heavy you collapse? No? Well, I never had to knock on wood. Digimon Digital Monsters. As long as I live, I will never escape this franchise. I've talked about Digifleams 2 times before on this channel, and with each video I have gotten more cynical and bitter. I'm a grumpy old man now, and I don't like things as much as I did when I was younger, but even with all my sardonicism, I can still appreciate some Digifliggies from time to time. But if I could make a slight addendum to those past videos of mine, I'd like to clarify a few things. I still stand by all my criticisms and whatnot, but the one thing I regret about those reviews is how goddamn nostalgic I am. And because of my nostalgia, I propped up the original show as being a paragon of impeccable quality and a shining example of kids' media. Let's not mince words here. Digimon is and always was a poorly executed, clunky, and awkward narrative. Sure, it had its moments of character-driven greatness, but those moments are nowhere near good enough to get Digimon into the rankings of, say, Airbender, or Samurai Jack, or Breadwinners. As much as I will always love the original seasons, I would like to make it known that I don't actually think they're of objectively good quality. In fact, they can be quite terrible at times. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. Anyway, Digimon 02 The Beginning, my god that's not a good title, is a sequel to Last Evolution. It takes place 2 years after that movie, 10 years after Season 2, and we solely focus on the 02 Digi-destined. And if you saw my Last Evolution video, you know that I came away from that film absolutely enthralled with how those kids were written, especially considering their still unmentioned absence in Try. So I was actually looking forward to this movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, I adjusted my expectations accordingly, but I was totally on board with a standalone 02 generation story, and as expected, it was pretty fucking trash. Hell, it's not even really a story about the 02 kids. It's mainly about Toei's new Digimon OC, Don't Steal. And yet, in true Digimon fashion, it still had a lot of things that I absolutely loved. But the real question is it better or worse than Last Evolution? Let's dive in. So full spoilers ahead, full steam ahead, full fuel tanks, full stomachs, full throttle, full metal alchemist, fully full fulfillment. Our story starts off with, okay, you're not gonna believe this, it's gonna blow your fucking mind, a Digi-egg over the city! Who would have, oh my god! It's downright comical how accepted of a phenomenon this is in this universe. I mean, yeah, there's news coverage and government surveillance, but the sheer lack of fucks given by society is hilarious to me. While that's happening, we get our standard anime intro sequence, showing off all the characters' day-to-day lives and goings-on. Davis is really taking his culinary career seriously. He's coming into his own as a young chef, and he even makes some damn good ramen for his friends at his job. Good on ya, man. In Season 2, I was always lukewarm about Davis, considering he could be a little obnoxious, but his heart was always in the right place. Since then, and especially here, I have grown to love his gung-ho attitude, his conviction, his confidence, his sense of justice, his determination. Yeah, he's a solid character. Ken is at college, and face. Ken honestly doesn't get much in this movie character development-wise, which is odd considering he was a wishing well of development in Season 2, and I understand the dilemma. Where do you take a character like this? He's already gone through a huge defining character arc, so while it is nice to see him well-adjusted and of sound mind, it would have been nice to get I don't know, something. Cody is doing some shit, I don't really give a fuck. Kari's a teacher. She actually likes being in school. No, but seriously, Kari also doesn't get much in this movie, which sucks. Same with TK, what the fuck? I am also a little salty that Lara Jill Miller isn't voicing Kari in the dub because I literally can't separate the two. But Tara Sands does a fine job in her place. Can't say the same for Armadillomon.
Yeah, right. Also,
What happened to your southern accent? Rude. And Yoli is awesome. Easily the best character in the movie alongside Davis. She's the ambassador for the Worldwide Digimon Organization in Izzy's place, which is, pretty based. I adore how driven, energetic, and passionate she is. It's infectious. Yoli is a joyous ray of goddamn sunshine. It is impossible for me not to love her. Her glow up as far as character and character design is without a doubt the best of the O2 generation. Oh, and as an added bonus, she's fucking hilarious. Best girl. So the gang are enjoying some ramen at Davis's restaurant when suddenly they notice a Digi-destined climbing up the Tokyo Tower. Yeah, there's no way news cameras from a helicopter would pick up a fucking Digivice. That's some bull. So this purple-haired kid, whose name is Louis, by the way, slips and falls to his death only to be saved by Stingmon. But he's not very thankful. Instead, he's very edgy about it. He belittles the Digimons by calling them slaves to their human partners, and says that being a Digi-destined causes nothing but misery. The squad, of course, refutes that bullshit, considering they have all the experience in the world to negate those claims. But Louis does, however, drop a massive bombshell that he's, get this, the first ever Digi-destined. Oh, are you now? Himikawa and company would very much disagree. 7-10 minutes in, and already we got our first plot hole, retcon, narrative, fuck about, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm not gonna go on a huge diatribe about how this contradicts the canon, because 1, it's a pretty obvious ass-pull. 2, Digimon does this retcon shit all the time, and I mean all the fucking time. It never ends. And 3, this is only one half of the plot hole, if you can believe that. The other half will come into play later. But we'll get there when we get there. As it stands, the Digimon canon is like a child's bedroom. It's a mess. And you keep telling them to clean it, but they won't, and you can't do it for them because then they'll never learn, and as a result, the room never ends up getting fucking cleaned. What I'm trying to say is, Digimon's storytelling is terrible. Anyway, so it's also revealed that Louis has a Digimon eye. Oh, how mysterious. How do you get that? But before any other questions can be asked, the police track them down and they're forced to flee. This leads to, admittedly, a pretty funny running joke where Davis asks how they keep finding us, and TK responds with essentially, how could they not find us with all the shenanigans we get into? Which is pretty damn funny. It's always nice when they acknowledge the absurdity of this universe. So they manage to evade the clutches of the Japanese government for now, and they finally get a chance to talk to Louis. At this point in the story, Louis is quite unbearably angsty and pessimistic, but as you'll see later on, there's a good reason for that. Davis and Ken agree to take Louis up to the Digi-egg by forming Paildramon. And here's the thing, I was never a huge fan of Paildramon's design, and that's still the case, but they do make him look pretty damn clutch here. Love the hip cannons. But they end up falling off Paildramon into the Digi-egg, where they end up in the past, specifically 15 years ago. This is where we focus on Louis' backstory, a rather horrific and traumatizing backstory, might I add. We see that his father is in intense medical care, his mother is physically and emotionally abusive, and he gets thrown out onto the balcony in the winter when he accidentally wets himself himself. Davis is so enraged by this sight that he almost tries to interfere with what he believes to be time itself and storm in on the mother. A hair-trigger response, of course, but one I completely understand and agree with. I love how Davis reacts here. It's great. Also, love how his English voice actor, Brian Donovan, is 100% bringing it. But Ken and Louie, of course, restrain him, only for Louie to do the exact same thing moments later. What the fuck? Yeah, okay, so Davis can't create a potential paradox, but you can. But before that happens, we get this long, uncomfortable, unbroken shot of a 4-year-old Louis suffering in the cold of winter, covered in bruises inflicted by his mother. It's genuinely hard to watch, but I kinda like the boldness. Now here's the thing, it's 100% emotional manipulation. It preys on you being a decent person with enough empathy to feel bad for this objectively horrible situation. As cheap a method as it is to gain audience sympathy, yeah, it kinda works. I mean, what, you think I'm not gonna empathize with an abused child? Who do you think I am? So they fall out of the Digi-egg, and we learn what felt like 2 hours for Davis, Louie, and Ken was just a few seconds in the real world. We also get some adorable Ken and Yoli crumbs. It's really nice, and I like it, and I must protect them. They get noticed by the government again, yet they still somehow manage to evade them. Yeah, I like the running joke too, but still, is the government so incapable that they can't apprehend a bunch of young adults? I don't even know. So they use Cody's old college classroom as a temporary base of operation. There, they manage to coax more exposition out of Louie about his backstory and mysterious Digimon. And get used to it, because this right here? This is the movie. It's mostly Louie's backstory. And I understand, you gotta establish character, but this is an O2 movie. I was expecting the O2 cast to take center stage. I was so looking forward to what challenges they'd face, but instead, they're just dealing with the bullshit of this insanely unfortunate kid, who's apparently the first Digi-destined, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, so flashback to the night Louie got his Digi-egg. It hatches, and out comes Ukomon. Now, if you're experiencing deja vu, that's because this is actually a pre-existing Digimon design, and I'm talking from the RPGs and collector cards. He's an ancient Digi-being that's presumably connected to homeostasis, or Yggdrasil, or Steve Jobs. As a result, he's insanely OP. So OP that he manages to completely rewrite Louie's mother's brain chemistry to be a kind, loving, and understanding parent. It's genuinely unnerving. But yes, Ukomon's special power is that he can grant wishes. Also, if you look at the wiki, he's actually listed as a fairy-type Digimon. Ha! From there, Ukomon makes Louie's life paradise. His father makes a miraculous recovery, Ukomon protects him from bullies, and as I said before, his mother is the spitting image of a lenient, hospitable housewife. Louie's life has made a full turnaround, all thanks to this wacky waving inflatable arm flailing Digimon. He even has a wonderful second birthday! Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, Louie was born on February 29th, so every 4 years, yeah, you're not stupid, you know. So on the day he turns 8, Ukomon brings Louie friends from the neighborhood and his parents arrive with gifts. Oh, what an absolute Norman Rockwell painted picture. What a joyous, boyish little boofle. I wonder what could possibly go wrong. So we fast forward a bit and you are not gonna believe this. Louie and Ukomon are witnessing the Odaiba Bay fight between Omegamon and Armageddonmon on the news. Fuck yeah! Give me my Revenge of Diaboromon crumbs. I am so here for this. I don't care if it's key jangling, they're keys worth jangling. Yes, I would have preferred these news stills to be animated, but I'll take what I can fucking get. I've always had a soft spot for Revenge of Diaboromon, Diaboromon? So much so that I managed to hunt down this 1080p version of it. Internet Archive is your friend. Revenge of Diaboromon is an absolute fever dream of a 30-minute movie. And while I can't say it's really consequential to the rest of the Digimon canon, it's still a cool little piece of Digi lore. Not only that, but it's really fun to see both the 01 and 02 cast working together like this in the trademark cinematic Digimon animation style. The interactions they have are quite hilarious. I especially like how Joe keeps bribing people for their bikes. Also, the layout design is rather appealing. We get a wide range of scenery in this compact TV movie, and there's something so satisfying about urban early 2000s Digimon aesthetics. Oh, and they even make a Digi-die Mon reference in the new movie. Nice touch. Also, can we just take a second to appreciate how much of a banger evolution line Diaboromon has? Banger, 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 banger. He's not only terrifying, but he's the most dangerous and arguably the most powerful adversary the Digimon have faced and will ever face. Motherfucker launched a nuke at Japan and ate the internet. Anyway, wow, I got way too sidetracked talking about Revenge of Diaboromon, but that's on this movie, for referencing a much more subjectively enjoyable movie. So then Ukomon says to Louis that the reason they're fighting is because Louis wished for this, in one of the most hilariously creepy tone shifts I've ever seen. Ukomon explains that because of Louis' wish to make friends all around the world, that meant Ukomon created the entire concept of the Digi-destined, manufacturing every single monster-human relationship we've seen in previous seasons and movies. Also, Louis could have friends. And this is that second half of the plot hole I was talking about. Not only is Louis the first Digi-destined, but because of his wish, all Digi-destined exist in the first place. Okay. Now let me explain why that makes no sense. Because this was never supposed to be a part of the canon. Because Gen-I established that Digi-destined have existed well before Tai, Matt, and the others. Because that very same generation of Digi-destined before Adventure 1 sealed away the Dark Masters. Because Himikawa and Nishijima were a part of that group of Digi-destined. Because this is a total massive goddamn piece of shit retcon. And besides, the Red Greymon and Parrotmon fight happened a year before Louis supposedly met Ukomon, so how the hell does that even add up? That actually throws a wrench into everything. The Heighten View Terrace incident was a key event that was witnessed by the chosen children. What did Louis' wish transcend time? This is a direct contradiction of the timeline. Why do you do this, Digimon? You think I like doing this? You think I like having to fundamentally tear your shit down, break out the schematics, and measure out why your story keeps repeatedly fucking itself in the ass? First, you can't make up your minds about the epilogue, even though you insist it's still canon. And now you can't even make up your minds about the origins of your own mythos. And you know what's insane? We're not even at the worst part yet. Speaking of, by the way, shortly after Ukomon's explanation, Louis' father comes home and both his parents just collapse dead on the floor. Why? Why is this happening? Did Ukomon's wish power wear off of the parents and now they're just dead? It's not very well explained, but that's not the worst of it, because as Louis starts to panic, Ukomon uses his tendrils to puppeteer his parents' lifeless fucking corpses, injecting some form of life force into them, making them smiling, lobotomized husks, and proceeds to say, "All better."
What the fuck? What in the world?
What am I looking at right now? You guys need to understand something. I may not be up in arms, flailing and freaking out now, but when I first saw this scene, I almost died. I could not believe what I was witnessing. Now, I've heard from other Digi fans that this scene is actually reminiscent of Ghost Game's affinity for a darker tone and its emphasis on horror. I, however, never saw Ghost Game because everyone told me it was shit. As a result, I missed out on all that context and got bitch slapped with it here. And yeah, I get it. Toei knows that the audience who grew up with Digimon are all 30 now, so they don't really care about censorship anymore. Cool, I understand that, but whether you're a kid or an adult, this is fucked. Like, am I wrong for being mortified by this imagery? No. There's no way I could accurately recreate my reaction. So, here's my actual first-time reaction.
What? 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 Tripod, I think we walked into the wrong fucking neighborhood.
Oh, but wait. It gets worse. Louis has had enough of Ukomon's bullshit. So he takes out a baseball bat and starts wailing on the Digivice.
What? Wait, oh, you gotta be fucking me. Are you kidding? That's how he loses his fucking eye?
That's how he lost his fucking eye.
Yeah. That's how he loses his fucking eye. And instead of just magically fixing it with his Digimon god powers, Ukomon removes his eye and inserts it into Louis' bloody socket. Why not just magically fix his fucking eye? But then, Louis goes off on Ukomon, saying that he's effectively ruined everything, that this is a horror show, and that he doesn't know the first thing about what makes him happy. And the devastated Ukomon, I shit you not, starts melting.
Tripod! What the fuck is... Oh my god! Okay, pause it again. Oh my god. I can't believe what I'm fucking watching right now.
This whole scene is just a shit show.
He melts. He just melts. You know, normally Digimon turn to glowy dust when they die, not melt into gore piles. Jesus fucking Lord. What else can I say about this scene? What do you want me to say? If the massive narrative retcon wasn't enough, you can also traumatize your kids for life with this shit. I barely noticed the Revenge of Diaboromon stills at this point. I was too shook by the unearthly emotional reckoning going on around it. MK Ultra experiments were less inhumane. End of Evangelion is asking you to seek therapy. Gary Busey is advising you to calm down. Eraserhead's ending is a preschool play compared to this. Martyrs is giving you the side eye. Happy Tree Friends thinks you're trying too hard. I saw less death and decay at my grandmother's funeral. You're making Elfin Lied look PG-13. What the fuck? Okay. So, after that, all the kids are rightfully bewildered by that story. Well, more saddened than bewildered, I'm just projecting. So you're probably wondering what the kids' reaction is to the Digi-destined being manufactured by a wish. Davis is the only one who has a suitable reaction, getting pissed at the notion that Digimon friendships are phony. Ken tries to rationalize that this could be a realistic possibility considering that the number of Digi-destined has been doubling each year. Kari rebuttals that each Digi-destined had to build their relationships with their monsters. It didn't just happen with the snap of someone's fingers. They've had trials and tribulations that tested their bonds, and they've grown closer as a result. Which is very true, especially considering Gatomon started off being Myotismon's abused lieutenant, and soon realized that Kari was the human she was meant to be bonded with. Soon, all the kids start to agree with Kari that Digimon and human friendships are too complex and nuanced for them to be fabricated by a supernatural force, which I agree with. 100%. But that doesn't erase the damage this movie has already done. So this reassuring dialogue is just copium from the writers, because they don't want to deal with the fact that they just trivialized the whole premise of this franchise. Way to fucking go. Anyway, so they're really sad about Louie's backstory, understandably, but motherfucking Kari has the gall to say she feels bad for Ukomon. I'm sorry, what? Did we not see the same scene? Ukomon is a true crime podcast episode waiting to happen. I don't care if his intentions were good, or if he was too naive to know the difference, or if it was just to make Louie happy. That doesn't excuse him traumatizing this 8-year-old and ruining his childhood. After Louie mopes a bit more, the clock strikes midnight, and Ukomon's Digi-egg hatches over the city. Turns out, it's Louie's birthday today, and Ukomon is back to wish him a happy birthday. How exactly? He starts producing millions of Digi-eggs so that everyone in the world, whether they want to or not, becomes a Digi-destined. The kids all agree that's a load of horseshit and need a plan of attack. However, TK brings up that if they defeat Ukomon, then Louie's wish might be voided, and all the Digimon will disappear as a result. Oh, you mean just like Agumon and Gabumon? Yeah, shit sucks, live with it, no need to cry like a bitch. Kari again reinstates that she's confident with her bond with Gatomon, and that no matter what happens, they'll still be together. But in case this is in fact goodbye, Davis and Vmon have one little wholesome exchange, saying they're going to make lots of ramen tomorrow. Davis says, "So you do get it." And Vmon says, "How many conversations have we had?" God, yes. Yes, 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 I love you too. You are so warm. I am so glad you're here. And I don't care if this is a hot take. I've always preferred Vmon over Agumon. Don't at me. Also, before we go any further, let's quickly talk about Kari, TK, and Cody. Notice how I haven't said anything about them throughout this review. That's because the movie never gives them the chance to be characters. The most Kari does is reassure everyone about Digimon-human relationships. That's it. Yeah. TK is kind of the voice of reason, I suppose. He is very much there, and he doesn't offer much outside of having Patamon, who's still adorable, but, yeah, TK, he's here. And Cody, well, here's the thing, Cody has always kinda sucked. Even in Season 2, he was pretty much a nothing character. And all he does here is provide the gang with a lab to do their investigation and exposition. That's pretty much all I got for you. Sorry, Cody. These 3 characters, I would say, suffer the most in the movie. Toei writers just don't know how to utilize the characters they've had rights to since the 90s and early 2000s. What else is new? Oh, and one more thing. You want to know what this evolution of Ukomon is called? You want to guess? Big Ukomon. Big Ukomon. I'm so tired. All right, it's time to suit up. Go, DNA Digivolutions. Now, this is another point of contention with the fans because the evolved Digimon are used less for action and more as planes, trains, and automobiles for the characters. And when there is action, it's only for the final showdown between the Digi-destined and, Big Ukomon. And that's over as quickly as it starts. So, wow, not only does this movie fail in regard to narrative and substantive character work, but it also fails to deliver any solid Digimon action. My god, we are not doing good here. I will say that Shakumon is both the lamest and coolest design ever. Like, what the fuck is this thing? It's great. Look at those stubby little pathetic excuses for arms. But yeah, they form Imperial Dramon, and Ken and Davis get Louis to Big Ukomon's membrane, so he can jump in and talk to the Ukomon he once knew. Louis makes his way back to the past, but just like before, it's not really the past. It's Louis's memory of his past. That's why he uses it to give himself some closure with his late mother. But he's not really altering the timeline and making his childhood any better, or actually changing his mother's mind, so what is this, like a Kylo Ren and Han Solo moment, where Kylo pretends that Han forgives him? Is that what this is? Or is it just an astral projection of the past created by Ukomon to make Louis happy? I don't know, your guess is as good as mine. But Louis's mother realizes, hey, maybe I shouldn't be an abusive piece of shit, and goes to hug her toddler. Yep, still a terrible mother, even if her brain was scrambled into submission. After that, Louis and Ukomon reunite on the balcony. And you know, if I were Louis, I'd have a laundry list of things I'd like to say to this little shit, but I digress. Ukomon reiterates that he'll grant whatever wish Louis wants. But Louis, of course, doesn't want to wish for anything. And Ukomon is like, yeah, I figured. He then goes on to explain that even though he didn't fully understand Louis's needs, he still tried everything in his power to make him happy. That's why he did what he did. Yeah, well, no. You're still a terrible, horrible monster. That excuse doesn't absolve you of anything. They then use this opportunity to say that they really didn't know anything about each other because they never truly communicated. And they start to lightheartedly list off all the things that annoyed them about each other. And the conclusion they come to is, if they wanted to avoid all this heartbreak and hellfire, they just needed to have more conversations. I'm sorry. 4 years. You spent 4 years together. You mean to tell me you didn't have one meaningful conversation? Not one heart-to-heart? Not even a hey bro, no cap, I love you? In 4 years. Sorry, but not buying that. Also, the fact that Louis lets Ukomon get off that easily after all this insanity is just maddening. This Pillsbury doughboy ruined your life and made you into the edgy Naruto character you are today. So they both essentially agree that Ukomon has to die because, obviously. So they do exactly that. Boom, pow, Krakatawa, bam, shoop da whoop, I'm a firin' my laser. Yay, Digimon, look at all the cool things happening. Hooray, we did it. We defeated Big Ukomon. Good work, everyone. Man, I was really scared we weren't gonna make it out of that one. But in the end, our ragtag team of heroes saved the day like they always do. Was there ever any doubt? What a beautiful Christmas season. And would you look at that? There's little to no collateral damage. At all. Amazing. Let's celebrate by getting rid of all the Digivices. Wait, what? Yeah, so because Louis didn't wish for anything, there was nothing to keep the bond between humans and Digimon, meaning the Digivices, D3s, D-terminals, and the Pokedex all get Thanos snapped. Huh. Okay. While the scene itself is rather beautiful in its presentation and musical score, it's a rather head-scratching ending. They explain that the Digivices represented the bond between the two partners, but since they've been with each other for so long and overcome so much, they didn't need them for a long time. So, even though the Digivices are gone, the bonds between the humans and their monsters remain intact. True friendship is indestructible. Hooray! You're probably expecting me to get all up in a tizzy now and explain how this doesn't work narratively, but there are no Digivices seen in the O2 epilogue. Toei found a way to fuck around and keep it consistent somehow. So does that mean that Digivolutions are no longer possible? Well, considering we see Stingmon in the epilogue, I'm gonna say they are still possible. But here's the weird thing. The movie has this narrator who may or may not be young Jedi, who vaguely compares the Digivices as metaphorical shackles, and that we've finally been free of them, leading the world to a host of new possibilities. So, Is he implying that they're no longer constraining themselves to the epilogue? I mean, that's certainly what it sounds like. But if that's the case, why would they get rid of the Digivices if they knew there were none in the epilogue? And why bother keeping so many character details that are tied to the epilogue? Are we entering a new Digimon timeline? What is anything anymore? Who fucking cares? I don't, and you shouldn't either. Is it canon? Is it not canon? Canon this, canon that, canon fodder, canon fire, canon bear, canon where, canon square, canon 2006. You may be wondering why I'm so hung up on this, since it's common knowledge that Digimon canon has always been a circus. Well, for one thing, narrative consistency is important to me. It's not exclusive to my enjoyment of a piece of media, but if it grinds my gears enough subjectively, then yeah, I'm gonna get mad at it. 2, it's fun to get mad at it. For all my love and adoration of this franchise, I will gladly tear it a new one. Several if I have to. And 3, if a bunch of professional studio producers can't help but fuck around and trash the lore of an established universe, then they should at least be held accountable for the shit writing that happens as a result. So, there you have it. All the Digivices are gone, and everyone was just kinda whatever about it. No big deal, you know, it happens. You know, I wonder what Ty, Matt, Izzy, Sora, Mimi, and Joe think of this development. Who cares? Their Digimon are presumably dead by this point. Ha, suckers, the O2 kids got to keep theirs. Wow, that was a bad movie. That was really bad. Awful even. I actually truly regret this whole experience. Why did I do this? So, is it worse than Kazuna? Yes. Holy shit, yes. I didn't think it could get any worse. Like, goddamn. Try was really bad. Kazuna was also really bad. But this is just dog water. There are some things I enjoy, but they're so minuscule and insignificant compared to the bullshit that makes up 99% of this movie. It's such a letdown. One of the worst things Toei has ever produced in regard to this IP. It's honestly mind-blowing how bad they keep getting. It dismantles its timeline with massive narrative contradictions, it's wrought with horrible pacing, and it pays little to no mind to its main players and puts fucking Sasuke here in the spotlight. It's a mess. But if I can try to be a tad charitable, the best parts of the movie for me, hands down, were Davis, Yoli, and her interaction with Ken. She and him have such a heartwarming moment during the snowball fight that just melts my heart. And I wish I could say that makes up for everything else, but it just doesn't. And while Davis and Veemon are a very welcome, very warm, and energetic presence, I would have preferred them to be the main characters instead of Shadow the Hedgehog and his Chow. This movie was honestly exhausting, an abhorrent and unpleasant experience, a blister on my heel, a mosquito bite on my wrist, a bad movie. Now, this is usually the point where I go on a huge rant about how much Digimon means to me and how much I love it despite how bad it is. But I don't think I need to do that. I think I've made that more than clear throughout this weird little Digimon video essay trilogy I've kinda accidentally created. It's a point I've made time and time again. You can love whatever piece of media you want, as long as you acknowledge its flaws, if any. Nothing will or can ever stop me from loving this franchise, but I'm not gonna defend it. At least, not anymore. I may have been suckered in with nostalgia goggles with Try and Kazuna, but god damn it all, I'm not tolerating this nonsense. Well, guys, it's been fun, but I'm all digied out for the day. My brain is digi-fried to a digi-crisp, and I need to digi-detox. Remember to never digi-drink and digi-drive, or else you'll get a digi-DUI.